How you doing? 74 Steve DC. Here we are on a project. We're going to pour some concrete for a handicap ramp. We had already poured this foundation probably a month and a half ago, and we're coming back to do the flat work for it. And I just wanted to thank everyone that subscribes to the channel, and if you watch the channel, hopefully you'll hit the subscribe button. And we're trying to put out videos on concrete foundations and flat work right now, and we do put the channel does have some stuff with guns and pizza ovens and various different things, but let me explain what we're doing in this area. This is where the handicap ramp is. The guy in the yellow shirt is John. He's kind of chopping up, it's like dry concrete that was in this mix, and I'm working this flat area in front of the door. Now we're pouring concrete down this hill, and we're just, as you can see, he's pushing it uphill, but it keeps coming back. The slump was wetter kind of than I wanted. We would like to have like about a 4 slump on this. And this is maybe, for some reason in this upper area, it poured out a little stiffer than it did. I don't know if it was just not mixed really great in the mixer, but he didn't add any water when he got to the job site. I'd say it seems more like about a 5.5 slump in this upper level ramp, and for some reason it's almost like a 6 slump going down about halfway through the mix. Now this has fiber mesh in the concrete. It doesn't have any steel wire, and I don't know how you feel about steel wire, how much better it is. To me, I don't really think it's any better. A lot of times when people salt the walkways in this area of Massachusetts, we get frost and ice, and what they'll do is a lot of people put salt all over it, and it just kind of kills the concrete. And when you get steel wire in there, it actually magnifies the damage it does. It actually rusts the wire out and kind of explodes the concrete. If it were mine, I probably wouldn't put any wire in it either. We're pretty much going on what the plan kind of tells us to do and what the customer wants. Now you can see the concrete coming out of the chute right there, and it's making a little bit of a pile. I think after about a minute or two, you'll see it's probably maybe 5-6 inches tall right there. Now I'm up in the background in the dark shirt, and I'm going to try the bull float just to see. We kind of discussed that halfway through this pour would be the best time to bull float. It'd be easier than trying to get up and over the wall or walking down this wall to edge everything. So we figured now's the time to edge everything. The only areas we didn't edge were against the back of the house. And what we do is we'll go out there once the concrete sets up a little bit with some pads, and we'll edge all the way around the whole particular slab. So now we're going to try to bull float up it. Now this is 5 feet wide. This is a 5 foot wide bull float. We actually took a 1/2 inch off of it on this particular job. We cut a 1/4 inch off of each side of this bull float just so it wouldn't get caught up against the house. Now I'm going uphill trying to level it before he goes over it with the bull float. But it's pretty tough when it's a little wetter like this because it just really wants to all come back downhill. But it does seem to help level it out a lot better. By the time we're done with the bull float, it's pretty smooth. I mean, we can still fine tune it a little bit by hand anyways later once it starts to set up a little bit. So if it's not perfect right now, it's not a big deal. So we're going to take one chute off of this truck. The driver, I think he has all the chutes on, and it actually makes it harder. You don't need all the chutes, it just makes it harder to pour because the driver's so far away, and When you tell him to stop, it just keeps on coming. He's got to raise the chute up in the air to stop it. I kind of like to use the minimum amount of chutes I can put on the truck to get the job done. And what we like is when we're pouring, we're always pouring with different companies. We work in all different areas. Sometimes we probably use about 5 or 6 different companies, but 2 to 3 of them we use most of the time. So we always sometimes we'll get a newer driver. And one of the things we don't like is when the driver starts going way ahead of us. They think they're helping us out by just going way ahead of us. And sometimes they'll go right against the wall and bury our lines so we can't see what the grade is. But if you're a driver and you're watching this, I don't know, maybe the guys that you pour with like you pouring right against the wall, but we kind of don't. We'd rather pull it to grade instead of having you pour over the grade. Maybe you're watching this video because you're going to do one of these at your house. And if I was to say if you were going to try to do something like this by yourself, like never doing it, I would probably pour the concrete a little bit stiffer, but you still got to have all the correct tools to do the job. I don't know if this would be the best job for a homeowner to try to do by themselves. Now, for some reason, coming down this ramp, it almost seemed like the mixer didn't mix the load really well, and it was wetter in this area. This ramp was actually quite a bit harder to do, and the slump seemed wetter. Now, right where that bucket is, there's the boards, because the way the ground is level, is probably 3 inches up in the air right there. Now that area where John is, in the yellow shirt on the left, it probably has about a 1-inch pitch over there, coming away from the wall. And the spot that I'm standing in pitches down a little bit more. This is where we're trying to lose the rest of the height that we needed to the finished grade, which the parking lot was going to be redone. Now this building already has a ramp, not a ramp, but it has stairs that are behind John to go in the building, but it's a commercial building and they need handicap access to it. Like I said, we had done this foundation probably 2 months earlier. Now this area right down here, we're just going to let it set up a little bit. It was kind of wet and we kept pulling it uphill. And what we decided we were going to do is just pour a little extra concrete in that area before we let the concrete truck go. We can always work with pulling the concrete back to where we want, but if the truck's gone and you let them leave and you don't have enough, that'll really make for a bad day. Now this one, like I said, seemed a little wetter, so we actually waited a little bit on bull floating this. We probably showed a bull floating in this particular video, but after I had stopped the video, we actually bull floated it one more time. And I didn't capture that in the video. But we do have the second part of this video that I want to upload. We already have it in the video format, and we're going to upload that shortly. That's the broom finishing, and then we saw cut it later, but the saw cutting is not going to be in the video. The batteries on the recording, the phone actually weren't good enough to keep going. So here I am kind of going over the edges. We're just trying to get everything as neat as we can and as flat as we can get to the grade that we wanted. Trying to work everything uphill, and it's definitely not easy pouring on pitch concrete like this. Usually what happens is everything just wants to flow downhill. Then if you pour it really tight, then it becomes a little more lumpy. Trying to get it really nice and smooth. So if you like these kind of videos, subscribe, and we're putting out about one per week right now. And we're going to probably keep going throughout the winter. We pour concrete even in the wintertime. We do indoor flat work in basements. So remember to subscribe down below. If you have any questions, if you guys do this, or you're a driver, or you pour concrete for a living, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on it and how you deal with pouring concrete that's pitched like this. If you think it's easier, or if you find it pretty easy to do, or if you see something that you have a question about, post it down below and I'll answer whatever questions you got. Thanks for watching, and thanks for watching the video, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next video, guys. Thank you. Now this little section to the right, I think we waited on this one. Kind of wanted to set up a little bit. The sun's out. And that's pretty much it for this part of the video. Thanks for watching.